Hello. I wanted to make a small PC that I would be able to transfer to another location 2 or 3 times a year if necessary. I decided that it would be a small factor PC case, but not an ITX motherboard and not some expensive variant of an ITX PC case. I wanted it to be a MATX motherboard because it has a lot more advantages over an ITX motherboard with more features. And they are not as expensive as ITX motherboards and have a lot more fan headers, which has been a problem for me so far with the X570i motherboard and the case M1 PC case that I own. The case is 391mm long, 303mm high and 185mm wide. It can accommodate a serious air cooler. Its weight is 5.2 kilograms, its volume is only 22 liters, so it is actually only slightly larger than PC cases that are under 20 liters and which we consider to be in the category of small factor or SFX PC cases. I decided on the Strix Z690-G Gaming, which is a premium motherboard and significantly cheaper than the ITX version and of course with a lot more features. Memory is Kingston Fury 5200 MHz, which is cheap now. I also decided to experiment a bit to keep the CPU temps down, so I installed the Thermalright CPU bending kit for Intel as well as the best 120mm Phanteks T30 fans along with thermal Grizzly CPU paste. I wanted to achieve the lowest temperatures with these components. Caution: when removing the original 1700 LGA mounting mechanism and removing the screws that hold it, do not move the motherboard so as not to move the protective backplate behind the motherboard through which the screws go. I decided on the Corsair SF750 PC power supply because it offers a lot more possibilities for building a computer. I also installed one SSD SATA disk and left room for the second one waiting for me from the old computer. Down on the case, I installed two Artic P12 PWM PST case fan 120mm fans with a thickness of 15mm that will serve as air intakes. Above I installed two Artic P12 PWM PST case fan 120mm 25mm fans that will serve as exhaust air. These fans are great for installation because they are not expensive and are quite I definitely wanted to install a 240mm AIO cooler. I decided on the 240mm Asus TUF Gaming LC240 all-in-one CPU water cooling. I put two 30mm thick Phanteks T30 fans on it which will be placed behind the radiator inside and will blow air from outside to inside. Be careful which AIO you choose. The ideal length is up to 272mm in this configuration. It can be longer, but then you have to use the ATX PSU bracket from the PC case and the SFX to ATX PSU adapter and other combination. Be careful how tight you tighten the cooler, because after I finished the build I couldn't get a post with two memories in the A2 and B2 slot, which is recommended because of the dual channels. Post from BIOS was only possible in slots B1 and B2. I spent 2 days researching all possible bugs, forums, and unfortunately came across a forum where it is mentioned that if the water cooling is tightened too much it can affect the recognition of the memory by the processor. I removed the water cooling, cleaned the paste, removed the processor and put it back, but I tightened the water cooling not too much. And suddenly the post was possible from A2 and B2 memory slots. Everything works nice. Basically, everything went quite quickly and smoothly, except for the problem that I caused myself because I attached the AIO cooler too tightly, so I had problems with memory recognition. The only special thing I did was a small modification of the side bracket. 2 holes were drilled for the AIO fasteners, although it could have been done without it because even 6 screws would hold the radiator just fine. Later, however, I put washers under all the screws since the radiator is heavy and the fans are powerful, so that there are as few vibrations as possible. At the time of recording this video, I had not yet purchased a graphics card, but when I finished filming I did purchase a very affordable Asus Dual GeForce 3060 Ti OC edition. I quickly loaded the automatic overclocking of the processor in the Asus BIOS and the results were outstanding. Even 25,712 points in Cinebench R23 in multi-score CPU after 10 minutes of test and 2,171 points in single-core CPU. The processor was overclocked, the P-core at 5.5 GHz and the E-core at 4.4 GHz, while some P-cores went all the way to 6 GHz. The temperature was great in around 87 Celsius. Later I made an offset voltage of the processor by 0.05 volts in the BIOS and the temperatures did not exceed 82 Celsius, which is really great. In the end, I must say that I am very satisfied with the build of this PC. The computer is small, it can fit the most powerful components, a graphics card up to 335mm long and 3 slots. The computer works very quietly, it has a total of 6 fans and the airflow is excellent. This PC case deserves my recommendation and I invite you to explore all its possibilities. It can currently be purchased on Newegg for $68. Thank you.